Jeff will talk a little bit about his background and a little about why he applied at Wayne State College, and then open it up.
Did you warn him how mean we can be, Mike?
What's that?
Did you warn him how mean we can be?
Just you.
I've seen the two before this, so I feel like I'm well prepared right now. My name is Jeff Warner, assistant at University of North Dakota right now. I grew up in Mason City, Iowa. I have 3 older sisters. All of them played college sports, so I'm pretty in college basketball pretty much. So I'm got a family that's in a basketball family. My dad was my high school coach, as I mentioned in the committee earlier. He let me shoot whenever I wanted to, so I got away with those things, which was great. And so I graduated from Mason City High School, then went on to the University of Iowa. I was able to start for 4 years there at point guard. Played under Steve Alford, had a lot of great teammates, Adam Paleska, Greg Bruner, guys that had played overseas, and we were able to have a lot of success while I was there. I felt like I did a pretty decent job being the point guard there for 4 years, and went to 2 NCAA tournaments. Unfortunately, our career didn't end quite the way we wanted it to, but definitely think that has made me a stronger person today, and as far as coaching goes, on how to handle those situations. When I was done there, I worked out for the Detroit Pistons and the Denver Nuggets, and then ended up signing a deal over in Belgium to play basketball over there for 10 months, and had some success. Got to play in the summer league with the Houston Rockets the next summer. Unfortunately, they drafted a point guard by the name of Aaron Brooks, and so I didn't really get to play that much, but it was a great experience for me to be around that type of culture and be around the NBA culture. And then I went to Paris, France for about a month, ended up getting cut there. I came back and played for the Iowa Energy, which is in the D League in Des Moines, Iowa, the first year that they ever had that, and that was quite an experience as well. First year club, trying to do things. They had NBA guys coming down. I think I played with 40 different guys, and that was quite interesting. And finally, one of my good friends and teammates, Adam Paleska, came down and ended up getting cut got traded to the Houston Rockets and got cut by the Houston Rockets, and came down and played the last 10 games with me. So that was definitely some reassurance of being there and get to play with someone that I knew. After that, ended up going back overseas the following year to Antibes, France, which is in the French Riviera. Had a great time down there, and it was definitely scenic. Ended up breaking my foot 3 times, I think it was, and just kind of decided after that next year that it was probably time for me to give up playing and go into coaching. And I was at West Des Moines Valley for 4 years, was able to get that turned around. It's the biggest high school in the state of Iowa. I struggled a little bit before I got there and just kind of changed the culture, changed some toughness, didn't kind of let kids do whatever they wanted, and we got that thing turned around pretty quickly. And we finished 2nd place my last year that I was there, and those kids were freshmen and sophomores, and now this year as juniors and seniors they won a state championship. So I like to kind of think that I had a little bit to do with that, but they're obviously great kids, and they grew up a little bit. And then the last 2 years I've been at the University of North Dakota. I was the director of basketball operations last year, and this past year I was the assistant, and helped recruit probably 6 of the 13 kids on the roster this coming year, and pretty proud of that. And a lot of Iowa kids, which is kind of my main area, but definitely want to get into Minnesota and Nebraska if I'm here, and not just those areas, but definitely everywhere. But those would be definitely a main focus for me. And the reason I want to apply for this job is I want to be a head coach. Growing up, I heard a lot about Wayne State growing up with the McDermott years. I talked to Greg McDermott, talked to Eric Henderson, I've talked to Brad Jones, Todd Klosterman, Troy Malone, all those guys. I've talked to all of them, and they just kind of say what a great place this is, and the people really make the town. So just excited to have the opportunity to be here, be one of the 4, and I look forward to talking to you guys. Questions? Yeah.
2-part question. First, what adjustments, transition do you see going from assistant to potentially being a head coach and D1 to D2? And part B, what is your recruiting philosophy as far as building a roster? Is it strictly high school, combination of JUCOs? Kind of talk about that.
I think the biggest thing for me is that I've been a head coach, even though it was the high school level. I think a lot of people sometimes kind of play off the high school level, like it's not good enough sometimes. But when you're at the high school level, you're doing a lot of the same things that I'd be doing here. I mean, you're kind of you're kind of running it all, you're kind of doing everything. And so I think that kind of prepared me very well to do that. And then obviously going to the D1 aspect of it, again, to work under Coach Brian Jones has been a blessing for me. I've learned some things that I can and can't do, and I think those things will help me being a head coach. And I'm a pretty confident guy. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that I'm not a little bit nervous. If you weren't nervous, I don't think that you really want this job. And I do want this job. And I definitely want to turn this thing around. And I've had success in turning a program around, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest things. And obviously, there's a very young team that you guys have coming back. Got a good core of kids coming back, and some pieces to the puzzle that I think are very good. And so I think there's a lot of potential here with this team coming in. My philosophy for recruiting will definitely be to get high school kids. I'm definitely into Iowa and Minnesota right now, up in North Dakota. There's no doubt about that. I definitely want to have an area in Nebraska for sure as well. And the biggest thing about that is I'm going to have to come in and I'm going to have to work my way around Nebraska, whether that be going to open gyms, just meeting head coaches around here. But that's definitely going to be a strong point for this staff when we come in here. And I do have ties down in Texas. I have ties down in over in California, Arizona. So I kind of got, you know, more than just the Midwest thing. And we were kind of talking about at lunch with Dan McLaughlin a little bit, but you know, being able to recruit those types of places and that kind of thing. But I definitely think that you got to get high school kids in here that can develop, and I think you got to have a mixture every once in a while of a junior college kid, but it's got to be the right fit. And you can't just bring in a junior college kid that hasn't ever been coached, where a coach just says roll the ball out and go play. It's got to be a right fit for our team. The chemistry aspect to me is huge, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest part in bringing those guys in. You know, I know a lot of Division I coaches like Coach McDermott, Fran McCaffrey at Iowa. So just those guys to have, you know, I think they trust me, and if they want to send a Division I transfer my way, I think, you know, that'd be good. And I really trust those guys too, and I know that, you know, if I get a transfer from Coach McDermott, he wants this place to do well, and I think that's a very important thing.
What's your take on the kids that are currently here right now? If you were to take over as head coach, what do you see in the program where it's standing right now?
Well, you have a great player, Matt Thomas. Obviously, you bring back your leading scorer, Adam Moon, who is very good down the post. You got a kid, Jordan Cornelius, you know, and obviously having Kendall Jacks out last year, I think, really hurt this team. You know, he's a very good player. I've watched him through his high school career. So, you know, you definitely have a group of 4 guys right there that are very good basketball players. Now, you know, you add in Vance Johnson, you add in some recruits, you add in, you know, a lot of other kids. And I've watched film on these guys a little bit. I've watched their highlights. I'm able to go on Synergy and check those things out. But I think you definitely have a good nucleus. And like I said, some pieces to the puzzle coming back. You know, I think that we definitely got to get in the weight room. I think that's one big thing. I think we got to make sure that, you know, we can compete at that level. And I think for me, it's bringing a certain toughness. When I played, I was a tough kid, and that's how I got away with being able to compete in the Big Ten, was being able to do that. And you know, our kids at Valley, who, you know, they do come from money, and you know, sometimes they want things given to them, and you know, I think we kind of changed that culture around, and I definitely bring that culture to this place too. Yeah.
Maybe a football-related question since we're in Nebraska. Phil Snyder at Kansas State walked into a program that should have been killed off. Bill McCartney out of Colorado. But they both rebuilt it different ways. Bill Snyder said, let's beat the weak ones and get stronger. And Bill McCartney said, let's get the red letter game. Which way do you go to get Wayne State back?
Well, I think our conference is the best in the country. So, you know, there's no way of getting around those types of things. Now, I think what we need to do is we need to get our kids believing that they can win again. You know, they struggled the past couple of years. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So we got to get them back to believing that they can win. You know, whether or not we, you know, schedule those first 4 games as far as that goes to, you know, help us get some confidence up. I think that's one thing. But when we get into that conference, you know, the one thing that we got to do, we got to take care of home. There's no doubt about it, because when you come in and we're going to play an exciting brand of basketball here, if we come in and we're getting up and down, we're going to bring the fans back, and that's going to be our 6th man. And I think that's one of the most important things that's going to happen here. We got to take care of home, and we got to find ways to win on the road. Because when you're playing on a Friday and Saturday game, we got to find some way to save the legs, whether that be going a little bit less and shoot around that day or not. But we got to save the legs, because at the end of the year, my teams are going to peak at the end of the year when it's most important and it's time to win a championship. But our goal is going to be to win as many games as we possibly can. The next goal is to win a conference championship, and the next goal is to win a national championship. And I truly believe that if you can compete in this conference and be at the top tier part of it, it's going to take care of itself, because that's how good this conference is.
How do you, kind of a repeat question in a way, probably our best last recruiting coach was Greg McDermott. And he got kids, a couple out of Wisconsin, some Iowa kids, and some Nebraska kids. How are you going to go out and get that really good player that wants to come to a little town of 5,000? How do you overlook the population and the size of the college versus some of the teams we're playing with maybe 10, 15,000 in the school enrollment? How are you going to convince that kid to come here?
Well, one, it's an interesting question, especially because our roster is so young. I don't think that anyone in here or in this town has seen the potential that they could possibly have yet. So I think that's one part. But if I'm recruiting, if I can get a big time player and he can come in and I can sell him on, hey, you're going to play a lot and you're going to be the guy here, and then we start to win games and get that going. I think the program kind of sells itself a little bit, because everyone wants to be part of a winner. Plus, too, with the transfers and how many kids are transferring, it's going to be 700 kids in Division I. That happens because, one, there's no relationship with their head coach, and two, because of playing time. And I think those are the types of things that happen because sometimes coaches aren't honest with kids up front. And I think that's my biggest thing, is being honest. And then third, everyone I talk to with McDermott and Eric Henderson and those guys, all they can talk about is the people here and how great the people are. And to me, that's going to be a big selling point when kids come in here and hey, you're going to need to play a lot, you're going to be around great people, and at the end of the day, we're going to make you be a better person when you graduate from here. Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I work in the admissions office here, and I was just wondering if you could maybe speak a little bit about maybe your experience at other institutions you've been at, and maybe working with their admissions offices.
Well, I'll be honest with you, it'll be nice to actually be able to talk to admissions people.
I'm an Iowa kid too.
Okay, gotcha. Up in North Dakota, we cannot have any contact with our admissions people. So that's the way they do it up there. But the process takes a lot longer because we're not able to go to that person and be able to talk to them and have a relationship with them. I'm a very easy guy to work with, so if we got to get a kid going and get them in, then I'll be on you every day about it. But I'll definitely reciprocate and have do stuff for you guys too. So I think that'll be huge to be able to talk to admissions people, and I'd be pumped up about that. That's for sure. Yeah.
We've won one road game in the past 2 years. What do you see as steps need to be taken to win more than one game in 2 years on the road?
Well, I think that's, with the way that it works, playing Friday and Saturdays, you got to have some sort of way to get scouting for your Saturday game, maybe sometime earlier in the week, especially since you're not able to do any scouting reports on Friday after your games. But in saying that, you obviously don't want to overlook Friday's games either. In my opinion, it's going to come down to our kids being tough, being able to call the right play out of timeouts, because a lot of times when you play on the road, it's going to be close games, and you got to be able to make the right decisions as a coach, who to have out there on the floor. You're coming out of a timeout, you see something throughout the game that can get you a quick bucket. I think that's going to be extremely important, especially on the road. And I can't stress the toughness factor enough. If our kids don't want to be tough and they don't want to dive on the floor for loose balls and take charges and get extra possessions for our team, it's going to be hard to play for me. I'm not a conditioning guy. We get our conditioning going through the drills and scrimmaging, going up and down. So I'm not going to sit here and run guys to death or anything like that, but we're going to be in very good condition because we're going to go through hard through the drills. But getting road wins is all about toughness. And that's one thing that I definitely learned when we were at Iowa. We were always good on the road, and in North Dakota, we've just been very well prepared when we've gone on road trips. And I think scouting is going to be a huge part of that. I'm not going to sleep much nights before games. I'm not going to sleep much the night before the Saturday game. It's going to be all film and just trying to find little things that I can help, our guys win at the end of close games.
Maybe to follow up on Mike's road trip question. After your Friday night game on the road, do you plan on spending the night where you just played, or are you going to get on the road and spend the night in the next town?
I would like to get on the road and get to the next town. I think when we do that, I think guys can sleep on the bus a little bit. It's not ideal, obviously, but I think guys can sleep on the bus. We get to that next town, give the guys a chance to sleep in a little bit, then go to shoot around, and obviously the shoot arounds on Saturdays are going to be a lot less leg stuff and going through types of things, but a lot more shooting, more of a walkthrough, a lot of free throws, those types of things, but just making sure that we are on point with everything that we have to do. And then obviously we go back to the hotel, grab something to eat, and then probably do another walkthrough and watch film. So probably before the Saturday game, we'll probably at least get 2 to 3 videos in before there, and obviously a shoot around as well. But I definitely want to give the kids a chance to rest and get their legs back, because I know how hard it is to play on back-to-back days. Yeah.
They call us a suitcase college. And in the years of Coach McDermott, we were full. We were packed or whatever, but haven't been for a long time. How do you see that changing?
Talking to Coach McLaughlin, it kind of sounds like it's kind of a school thing a little bit, and we gotta get that back to where kids are staying in town for games, and just have. I think it starts with your athletic programs. Guys going to other sports games, and at North Dakota, I can't tell you how much our football team meant to our student section. Every game, those guys were dressed up in something different, and they were rowdy, and they were loud, and they got it going, and it was a fun atmosphere for our guys to be involved in. And so our guys seeing that now, we return the favor. We're going to have them go to those games, or the volleyball girls would come to our games, and our guys would go to all their games too. So we definitely got to get that going, but I think that we have to do some things during, I talked to Linda a little bit about this too, and she mentioned during timeouts, we got to get, things happening where the atmosphere is fun. During halftime, maybe get something in there where we have an elementary night where kids come in and now their parents are staying here, and now, they come back because they had such a great time watching our basketball team perform and get some wins. And like I said, I think it comes with, winning solves everything, right? And I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest things, but there's just little other things that you can do. I'd like to have a black and gold blowout. We did that at Iowa, so it's called the same exact thing, where we get everyone to come in and see our team, go through a little bit of a practice, and then we'll scrimmage so you guys can get a taste of what we're going to look like for that year. I think that's something else that you can do, and to try to just get the student population involved. Have a pizza party at our gym where we, put it all over the map, and they can come out, meet our guys, and I think it comes too with our guys just being great people on campus. I think that's another thing that's going to be a huge part, and for everything that I hear, we do have great kids coming back.
Coach, talk a little about what your teams will look like. And you talked about defensive toughness or toughness in general. You can run motion on offense, you can run set pieces, run up and down the court, grind it out.
Yeah, a little bit about personnel. What I'd like to get, I like really smart point guards who can shoot the basketball. So that's one thing. That's one thing I like. Sometimes, I made some mistakes too, but I like point guards that can shoot the basketball and are willing to make the right basketball play. To me, that's one of the most important things. Throw the ball up to our wings and let's go. And we want to be fast. I want some combo guards that can handle the basketball, because we will run a ball screen motion offense. I think the game is evolving more and more to the ball screen, and I just think there's so many ways to score out of those types of offense, and it also gives our guys freedom to be able to play out of that, and it gets all 5 guys involved, which If you got a guy just standing in the corner the entire time, he's not gonna, is he gonna play for you? I don't know. I mean, that's one of the biggest things, and I want big guys that are gonna run and be tough and not afraid to stick their nose in there. Also, not afraid to get a stretch four who can shoot the basketball. A little bit like Jordan Cornelius. I think that's one kid that's really intrigues me, just seeing his highlights and stuff. So I think those are definitely things to look at, but we're going to get out and we're going to run. So, and kid's got an open shot, you're a shooter, shoot it. I don't need you looking over your shoulder and wondering if the coach is going to take you out of the basketball game because you just shot that shot. And now, if you miss 2 or 3 threes, I'm probably going to tell you, hey, let's get to the basket a little bit. I mean, those are just different things that you can get going, and we're going to feed the post too. We got to get guys involved down there. We got to get to the foul line, and I think that's going to be definitely another important thing on that. But we're going to get out. We're going to run on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to play pack line defense, and we're going to try to keep people on the sidelines. I think teams really struggle when it comes to keeping the ball on the sideline, especially in ball screens. So those are the types of things, and our guys are going to be able to take charges. It's kind of an art, I've seen so many kids that are big and strong step to the side when a little guard is coming in, and I just don't understand it. So we're going to take charges, and we're going to get those extra possessions. We're going to dive on the floor for loose balls. Those things are big when it comes to the game. And going back to the offensive side of the ball, we're also going to run staggered screens for shooters. We're going to run quick hitters for our better players. We're going to run a quick hitter to get hopefully our post guy a layup. And out of every single timeout, we might run something that their team's never seen before. And so our guys got to be able to pick those things up. And, it's going to go through drilling, and more drilling. But, I want our teams to be fundamental, take care of the basketball, and get out and go.
Coach, right now our kids don't stay in town during the summer. At the Division II level, how can you encourage that to happen?
It's hard because you can't technically have anything to do with them, and that's the tough part. Can you afford to do it? And is the one thing. But I talked to a couple coaches in the D2, and what they do is they like to bring their players back, a couple weekends during the summertime. That way you kind of get your new guys involved. I kind of like that idea. Playing pickup, lifting weights on their own, doing that sort of thing. But would I like to have them here all summer? Absolutely. So, or at least for a month, and so they can just, that's going to be one of the biggest things. Once school hits, all right, it's a new coach. You got to learn a whole new system. You got to learn a whole new thing, and we got to hit the ground running. And so, if we can try to get them in here, earlier than that, I'd love to. But until I get that job, it's wait to be seen. But I would love to get them in here, no doubt. Yep.
You've played and coached at Division I. What kind of adaptations do you feel like you'll make moving to Division II?
I do feel like a lot of kids, my main priority is to get an education for these guys. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, but also that kind of comes with the kids that you recruit. They're going to be good basketball players. Otherwise, I'm not going to be here very long. So they better be good basketball players, but they better be better kids. And I just think that's the biggest thing is I don't want to get our kids worn out. So I think at the Division I level, right now they're doing mandatory stuff in the summer, and you could keep them all 2 months, but I think our coach does a good job. We have our guys there from May to the end of June, and basically he gives them all of July off because we're gone the entire month of recruiting anyways. I'd love to be able to do that. So I think that's one big thing is you got to let these guys be kids a little bit too. They're 18 to 22-year-old kids, and in the same sense, if they do come to Wayne, Nebraska, basketball is going to be a big part of their life. And so you've got to be able to recruit kids that love the game of basketball and want to do the right things as well.
Have you thought about what you're going to do from a staff position?
I have. I'd love to keep Brett Putz. So I think he's an up-and-coming coach. I think he does a great job. Whether I'll be able to do that or not, I don't know. I think he's probably recruited most of these guys on this team, and he probably has a pretty good relationship with them. I think he works hard, but we'll see what happens there. But I do have another couple guys in mind if that doesn't work out, and I gotta hopefully they'll say yes, but we gotta see. So I do have a couple guys in mind. I can't really speak on it right now though because they obviously have other jobs type of thing. But I think that the guy that we bring in here, you try to find a Midwest guy, Minneapolis or Nebraska or somewhere in there so that you can get going in that extra direction. And, a good young guy with a lot of energy that's going to be ready to roll.
Do the facilities look all right too compared to, I know we're a small town.
Facilities are awesome, I think. I think, the renovations that have been made around here, they're good enough for me. They're great in my opinion. So, I think when these kids come in here and they see, the new clean stuff, regardless of how big something is, to me, doesn't really make a difference. I walked over to the rec center, great place for our guys if they want to just come in and get some shots up. Obviously, the Rice Center, Rice Auditorium, they'll be able to go in there. But I went over to the community center today, and that's a great place as well. So, the facilities are great. Obviously, the locker room is unbelievable too with that new renovation. And the good thing is about our arena, our gym, is if you can fill that thing, it's better than having 15,000 people in there, or it's better than having a 15,000 seat arena and having 500 people in there. So I'd rather have it be small and people be on top of you and be loud and get it going.
Maybe after you get the job, what are the first 2 phone calls you make and why?
First 2 or first 14?
First 2. First one's probably to your wife.
Yeah, hopefully, no. Hopefully I'm sitting with my wife if that phone call hopefully does come. But probably the first person I call is my dad. So, he's raised me, and he's been a basketball guy, and he's been more nervous than I have been, throughout this entire process. He wants to see his son do well. I'm his only son. I got 3 older sisters, so he's been a great inspiration throughout my entire life. And the next phone call I'd probably make is, I'd like to be able to call all the players. So that'd be my second phone call, would be those guys. Just to get them on board. Like I said, I think we have good guys coming back, so I'd hope that they would want to come back here too. I know when there's a coaching change, things can change. But I know we got some good young guys and some guys to get to where we want to go and help get there, and so that would be definitely my second phone call. It might be reversed order too. So.
One more question? All right, thanks a lot. We're done.
Thank you very much.
We're back here on MyWayNews.com. The third of 4 coaches applying for the job as men's basketball coach at Wayne State College, and we have with us Jeff Horner. Jeff currently an assistant coach at the University of North Dakota up north in the Division I level, and looking to maybe be a head coach at the Division II level. I guess, Coach, maybe the first question I want to ask you is you've got your college coaching experience is primarily at the Division I level. Also played basketball at the University of Iowa. So, with the Division I experience, what interests you about Division II?
Well, just being a head coach. I was at Valley High School for 4 years, where I was the head coach there, and I think at the end of the day, everyone tries to be a head coach. Otherwise, why do you kind of get into coaching? And I just feel like Wayne State has the potential to be great again and get back to the Greg McDermott years, and with Eric Henderson and those guys. And I've talked to both those guys about this whole experience, and just being able to go to a spot where I think they have the potential to get it back to where it should be, and the facilities I've seen around here are very good too. So I think that's been the biggest part. I just wanted to be a head coach again, and growing up, I've heard of Wayne State College a lot, so I'm ready to get going.
Now, being up in North Dakota, obviously you're kind of in the heart of Northern Sun Conference country up there, but obviously not having, I guess, a lot of interaction with those teams. But what is your take on the Northern Sun Conference from what you've seen from your position there in North Dakota?
Well, in my opinion, it's the best in the country. Obviously, there's a conference on the West Coast. It's very good as well. But I think the best in the country. You got 16 very good teams in this conference, and any night anyone can beat you. So if you don't come prepared and ready to play basketball, you're going to get beat. And I think that's one thing that I can bring to the table is our teams are always going to be prepared. We're always going to try to be the tougher team. And I think those will get us a lot of wins, especially when we play back-to-back nights. If you had a little bit more time to prepare, it'd be a little bit more about scouting and taking a look at that. But our kids got to be ready to go one night after the other, and hopefully we train that well and do that. So this is a very tough conference, and I look forward to the challenge.
And mentioning the kids, Wayne State really does have a lot of youth on this program. A lot of kids, a lot of players coming back next year are only going to be sophomores or juniors. So you'd be inheriting a pretty young team. I think a hungry team as well. What is your thoughts about some of those kids that you'd be taking over for?
Yeah, I mean, just returning your leading scorer, Matt Thomas. It probably starts with him. Just kind of seeing the things, not watching a whole lot of game film and seeing highlights. Anytime you can return your leading scorer, that's a great thing. And obviously he was the point guard on last year's team too. So it really starts with him a little bit, and then you got a guy like Adam Miller, who's a guy down low, who's really going to be a good player, I think too. A kid like Jordan Cornelius, I talked about stretch floor a little bit, put the ball on the deck, very good mismatch for some of those guys. And then obviously a kid that's out last year, Kendall Jacks, be a huge key for our team this coming year because we had us out last year, and he just adds something that this team I don't think has right now. So, with those four guys coming back, and then obviously the people around it, some of the younger kids, some of the role players, those things are something that you can't teach. Once I get to meet the kids and talk to them and just know the chemistry on this team, I think is going to be huge too. So I'm very excited about the potential this team carries. It's going to take a lot of hard work, that's for sure. But hopefully these kids are ready for that challenge, and I'll push them to get there.
And one of the things you mentioned early in your meeting here was that you played basketball at the University of Iowa, had an opportunity to play in the Big Ten Conference, got to go to a couple of NCAA tournaments. But the question I have for you is, what was tougher for you, playing basketball in the Big Ten Conference or being the youngest brother with three older sisters?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think it's got to be being the youngest of four and having three older sisters. So, because they were tough, so they beat me up and probably made me the man that I am today.
They probably prepared you for Big Ten basketball. After that, growing up, it's probably easy after that, wasn't it?
No doubt. Well, once I got to about 6th grade, I was able to start beating them just because I was taller than them. So, that was a big thing. But my sisters definitely have molded me into the person that I am today.
All right, we've been talking with Jeff Horner, the assistant basketball coach at the University of North Dakota, the third of four finalists for the position at the Wayne State men's head basketball coaching position. We'll have one more coming up for you on Friday, and that will be Dylan Howard. They'll be stopping in Friday, and we'll have his meeting with the public on mywaynews.com, along with a little post-meeting interview that we've been doing with the other candidates here. Coach, best of luck on your pursuit, and hopefully everything works out well for you no matter where you're at.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll have more tomorrow on mywaynews.com. For now, this is Mike. We'll see you later.